What is up? It is your friend, your homie, Damian Howard, here with another segment of Village Talks. I love the fact that we have curated this space over 20 episodes that is all about sharing with the village of adult caregivers who care about the wellness and the sustainability of young people. Hey, can we have a place where we come together, where we get insights, where we can laugh, joke, cry sometimes, right? And this Village Talks community that we're building via this podcast is becoming that space for you and I. Today, y'all, we got a friend from the West Coast that's in here. Don't play with these people. Compton, you understand? And by the way, I'm gonna get into this with Michael in a moment because the Compton that we remember from some of those movies. Now, when I go out to LA and visit, it's like these are $1 million homes, and I just want to kind of talk a little bit about what is it, gentrification or whatever may be going on there. But again, our friend today, you all, Michael Freeman, with an organization that's all about helping young people to elevate your game. GAME is an acronym for grades, their attendance, their mentality, and then what was the last one, Michael? Tell us what the last one is.
Empowerment.
It and
Empowerment.
empowerment.
The
Come on,
M
man.
actually stands for maturity.
Maturity. Okay, what I don't know. My little sloppy writing. I just made something up. So I
That's all
love
right.
it.
That's
I love it. Michael, jump in there. Introduce us to yourself, and if there are some kind of fascinating or key things that you want to make sure gets highlighted, hey, as a part of your introduction, just go ahead and jump in there, sir.
okay. My name is Michael Freeman. I'm the executive director of Elevate Your Game. And I'll repeat it again. GAME stands for grades, attendance, maturity, and empowerment. Now, I am a product of Compton. I was born and raised in Compton. Not too many people can say they were born in Compton because the hospital doesn't exist anymore in Compton. But I was born in Compton, raised in Compton, went to all the Compton schools, graduated from Compton High School back in the day. I won't tell you how far back in the day, but back in the day. And it became a full circle moment, actually, for me when I went to my 25-year high school reunion. And there at that reunion was Gibson Lyles, the then principal of Compton High School. And he shared with us his need for us to come back to the high school and help him out. I was transitioning from another organization at that time, so it was perfect timing. I went back, had a meeting with him, and he shared with me his vision of starting a mentoring program on the campus. I've been working with urban youth for many, many years before that point. And so it was just natural for me to just raise my hand basically and volunteer to work with him to do that, to make that happen. We went to the same church, Zoe Christian Fellowship out in Whittier, California, and we decided we would get our first set of mentors from that church. And that's what started Elevate Your Game way back in 2002. And we've been rolling ever since.
Yeah, so what is it about your work, your approach, your methodology and curriculum that is unique and or uniquely impactful for urban youth? Even if we see the signage behind you, we see that emphasis on helping urban students be successful. Break that down a little bit more. Help us to understand what you mean by that.
Well, we don't, import curriculum from somewhere else. We create our own curriculum. So what we create, my coworker also is from inner city area, Watts, California, by the way. And so what we create is going to have an urban flavor because that's who we are to begin with, and that's who we've been working with. And so we know our urban audience, and we tailor our curriculum, our sessions to them. Um, One way we make it happen is we find videos, YouTube videos. This is just recently because YouTube, when we started back in 2002, YouTube was just probably getting started at a very micro level. But we find YouTube videos now that feature people that look like them and talk about their struggles. And we bring in guest speakers that come from who look like them, who come from the same kind of communities, and they talk about their struggles and challenges. And so they can relate to the young people that they're talking to, and we can relate to the young people that we're mentoring because we're utilizing material that has the same kind of context that they're living in and growing up in. And by the way, most of our adult mentors come from the same neighborhood, so they can relate. We have peer mentors who are basically the older students on the school campus, so they can relate to the urban issues that our students deal with. So
Hmm.
it's and our board is made up of
Yeah,
minority people who come from these kind of neighborhoods. So it's a part of us,
understood.
and it just comes through.
So take us and or if we were sitting with you right now, as we kind of are through this virtual technology, bring us, I should say maybe, to Compton. So particularly when you think of Compton and you think of the young people there, what stands out in your mind as far as, here's my question, what makes Compton and Compton youth beautiful?
Wow. That's I like that question because that's abnormal, that kind of question. Normally it would be, what's wrong with Compton? What's wrong with the youth in Compton? And so on and so forth. And the negative stigma that's just placed on us, I'm gonna say us because I'm a part of it, for over the years, but I mean, that's a misconception. Misconception. Now, yes, Compton has had its problems. I grew up in the, I'm gonna tell you now how old I am. I
Hmm.
grew up in the 70s,
Hmm.
60s and 70s. I saw gangs start in the city. I mean, it started in Watts, but I saw it trickle into Compton. I saw the Crip gang starting, the Pyru gang, which was the Bloods, start, and all of that. But that was, really it was only like 10% of the population, or the youth, or maybe even smaller. But it left a real big stain on our city, and changed the whole environment. Because I remember I'm going into the history a little bit here. I hope you don't mind. But
It's
I
all
remember I
good.
could
We love it. We
ride
love
my bike anywhere I had to worry about what neighborhood I was riding through or what corner I was coming around because it was just quiet and, everybody got along. But when you got the Crips and the Bloods got started, you got to be concerned about where you're going and where you're at and what you're going past and all that kind of stuff. So it definitely changed the environment, but it still was a small percentage of the city involved in that kind of gang activity. So a lot of us, had aspirations to go to college. Our parents were pushing us in that direction. Many of us did. Um, I have my oldest brother was a professor at the University of Virginia, and I put a whole list together for our current students to see all the different people that came out of Compton and did great things with their lives, besides athletes and entertainers, okay? Because that's all people will think of. But we have doctors and lawyers. And one of my classmates became a doctor. One of my other classmates became a lawyer. His brother was he retired now. He just retired. He was a judge. So I mean, so
No, I love
I'm
that. I
trying
love
to
that. Let's go to the 2026 young people though. What's beautiful and
yeah,
brilliant about these kids
right,
that you're serving?
right. Okay, let me first of all explain the demographics. Demographics have changed. You come into Compton now, and when I was in high school, the school was pretty much all black. Compton High School now is 80% Hispanic, 20% black. And these students are some good students, and they really want to do something with their lives. They really want to do something with their lives. We have good students in our program, and they're soaking up the material, and you can see them changing before your very eyes as you're having these mentoring conversations with them. I mean, they have these aha moments. Oh, I never thought about that. Oh, maybe I should try that. Oh, you up for a quick story
Oh,
of
listen, we
change?
we we love stories here. We love them.
Okay, well, I was talking to this is a few years back. I was talking to one of our freshman students in our program one day, and he was explaining to me, and I just asked him, "Well, what's going on? What's happening? What's your life like?" And he shared that he was a basketball player. He was playing on the freshman basketball team. And I said, "Okay, that's great. How you doing in your classes?" He said, "Well, not too good. I'm flunking English." I said, "Huh? What's going on there?" And he said, "Well, it's like this." This shows you how sharp these young people are. He put it down like this. He put his finger on the issue. He said, "Look, if I make the winning basket in a basketball game, everybody's going to be all over me. But if I make A's in my classes, nobody going to say anything to me. In other words, the hype is on the sports. I'm gonna focus my attention and my focus on the sports because that's where I'm gonna get the hype. Uh, everything else got to take a got to slip into the background." So I continued the conversation with him and I said, "Look, if you want to have a better future, you need to put just as much time and just as much work in your schoolwork and in your classes as you do on the basketball court." And he got it. I mean, just in that it's amazing. These one conversations can change some thoughts up here, a mindset. And so I continued the conversation and I said, "Well, what's happening in English? Tell me why are you flunking English?" And he said, "Well, it's like this. The teacher gives us these vocabulary words at the beginning of the week, beginning of the week. And at the end of the week, she gives us a test. And I'm flunking the test." And I asked a very basic, simple question. Are you studying
Are
the
you studying?
words?
Exactly.
Are you studying the words? And he
Yeah.
just flat out, he was very honest with me in this conversation. He just flat out said no. I said, "Well, no wonder you're flunking. Look, in practice, if you're not practicing your foul shots, are you going to make them in the game?" And he said, "No." That's the same thing with these words. If you don't study these words, you're not going to get them right on Friday on the test. And so I said, "Look, do me a favor. Do yourself a favor. Take this challenge this week. Study the words, and then on Friday, see what happens." He
Yeah.
studied the words. Friday, he aced the test. He came back the next week to elevate your game, and he said, Mr. Freeman, I aced that test."
Yeah.
And I said, "I knew you would. Now,
Hmm.
this is all you have to do from this point on, and you're going to get better grades in English and in all your classes." Well, he did. He
Hmm.
graduated. He could have flunked out freshman year. A
Yeah.
lot of freshmen flunk out. He could have flunked out, but he didn't. And he graduated from Compton High School. He went to college. He went to the University of LA State, Cal State. We call them Cal States. Cal State University of LA. And he got his bachelor's degree in business administration.
Hmm.
Business administration. And he's a businessman now. So these young people have tremendous.
That one story could have been the change agent in that guy's entire life. That's what it sounds like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I believe it was.
Wow. Wow.
So it just goes to show you the great potential
Yeah.
these young people have. If somebody just takes a moment to talk with them, believe in them, encourage them, motivate them,
Yeah.
and they can no telling what they can become.
You,
But the problem is, they have this stigma placed on them
mm.
from the outside, from the inside and the outside.
So
They,
again, it's not people asking about the beauty. They're more so projecting all of the issues and the problems. That's where that stigma comes from.
yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah, so the problem is, and we have to have mentoring conversations with them about this. The problem is
Yeah.
they can think, "Oh, I'm growing up in Compton. Oh, I'm going to Compton High School. I can't really do much with myself."
Yeah.
And they're like, "No, no." That's why I put that list together. Look at all these people that came out of Compton and doing great things for themselves. They're
Yeah.
not just athletes and entertainers. I keep emphasizing that. But they didn't, all kinds of fields of work fields, career fields. So yeah, they have tremendous potential, and Hispanic. We work with
So
Hispanic
let me
youth.
ask you a question before you shift to Hispanic because I want to that's where I wanted to go. So you told me that the school is overwhelmingly predominantly Hispanic now. And in addition to that, let's talk about the age difference as well. You're coming in as a guy who is removed from their generation. You're coming in as a guy who your ethnic makeup and your experiences are different from the majority of the school. But it seems like there's a belief and a confidence that you have that regardless of some of those cultural or age differences that we have, to your point, the mentor showing up with the confidence, the desire, and the capacity can still make a difference. So talk to us when it comes to embracing difference, not being scared by that, and still being in a position to make impact.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes, there's a big age difference. Yes, I'm black and a lot of the students are Hispanic. There's an ethnic difference. But one thing we do, you got to find your commonalities. And one thing we do have in common when it comes to the Compton students is we all share this place that has become world renowned, more so in a negative way. So that, we can connect there for sure. But there's a lot of other ways to connect. And that's what it's all about, building relationships. Mentoring is about, if you don't build relationships with the people that you're mentoring is not going to go very far. It's all about building relationships. And when you're building relationships, you're getting to know one another on all the different levels. And through that, you're learning how to connect with one another. So we emphasize through the training, when I train the mentors, I emphasize to them, look, this is it's about relationship building. It's about good communication and trust, building good trust with your students, showing up week after week after week. And when you do that, that helps build trust. Listening to them, not lecturing. We don't do lecturing.
Yes,
I
sir.
mean, it slips in here and there. But, but I tell the mentors, this is not about lecturing. Look, if you're doing 70% of the talking and they 30%, something's wrong. You need to flip that around. So what we do in our mentoring sessions every week, this is the way it works. I'll introduce the topic through some kind of way. I mostly use videos now, to tell you the truth. And that introduces the topic that we're going to talk about. And then we get into our small groups. We do the mentoring in small groups, get into our small groups, and we have these conversations. Now, every mentor, including myself, has a list of conversation questions. And I started developing these conversation questions specifically for the purpose of forcing the mentors to get the students talking to us instead of us talking at them. And I emphasize the word conversation over and over and over to both the adult mentors and the peer mentors. I say, look, use these questions for conversation. It's not a test. It's not a school assignment. It's conversation questions. Use it as a tool. And so when we do that, which means we're going to add follow-up questions as we go along. It's kind of like what we're doing now. You're going to think of some things as you go along that you want to throw into the conversation, and you want it to go back and forth like that. And you can drop in your nuggets of wisdom along the way, but you want to get them talking. And so when that happens, it breaks down a lot of those barriers. When you have those kind of conversations, it breaks down those kind of barriers between age and race and whatever else is going on. What the culture, what the urban youth culture is today is a lot different than the urban youth culture in my day. But that you learn through those conversations, you can learn about what they're dealing with now. For instance, yesterday, I was at Compton High yesterday in a mentoring session. We were talking, the topic for the day was don't cheat, don't cheat. And so I showed a video which emphasized the problem with cheating. The consequences can be severe. That's what the video showed. And then we got into talking about the topic. Well, cheating in school back in my day was a whole lot different than what it is now. We got this AI, Chat GPT, and all these phones. And so we got into talking about that. And they were telling me, okay, they were educating me on how it's done. Now, what they see how students are doing it. They did admit they were tempted to cheat, but they didn't say they were actually doing
Absolutely.
it.
And part of it with this new nascent technology, is we as educators got to change our perspective as it pertains to what is cheating. You know, if
Yeah,
if we don't start giving our kids experiences within a safe space to tinker with and
yeah,
utilize some of this technology for their
yeah.
own development, growth, and also for the production of even academic tools, we're rendering them behind, is what I think. And I know we
Mhm.
can go into a whole different intellectual conversation about water usage or artificial intelligence and all of the things. And a lot of it is valid, but I think a part of my own personal thing is like, what do we call cheating? So I would have loved to
Well,
be a fly in the room with that conversation.
yeah, that's a whole nother conversation right there. But I was just telling you, I was using that for example to explain how we talk about the differences. They
Yeah.
help us understand what's going on now in their world, and we tell them, what's going on in our world today, and
Yeah.
maybe back in the day. So it leads to some rich conversations. But it's through the conversations that we build relationships and we break down barriers, and then that helps deepen our mentoring impact.
So I look behind you at a picture that is on your wall. We
Mhm.
can't see you, but I'm assuming that's you with your arm around
Yes,
a young man
yes.
who's graduating. And we can only imagine the beautiful narrative and story of impact of walking alongside and eventual transformation that happened as you partner. By the way, what's the young man's name?
To tell you the truth, I can't remember that.
All
That was
right.
in the very early days.
It's all good.
We've been doing this since 2002 now.
It's all good.
We've had we've had over 3,000 students we mentored.
Oh wow.
Uh, I really can't remember his
So,
name to tell you
so,
the truth.
so for the purposes of the conversation, we're going to call him John. John,
Okay.
again, I'm sure was impacted by your program. Transformation happened, all of the above. One of the things that you told me as we were talking on the front end of this conversation is that you have an aspiration that you would uniquely be able to use technology that more and more kids would be able to get access to mentoring. And you said, Damien, this is one of the key things that I want to make sure we amplify as we're having this village talk. So jump in there, tell us about this tech.
I'd love to. Well, like I was telling you earlier, about 10, probably about 15 years ago, actually, we could see how these mentoring conversations were having such a great impact on the students that we were mentoring, and they were having these aha moments, and change was happening before our very eyes. And we said, we can't keep this to ourselves. We got to spread this, and there's urban kids all over the country, thousands and thousands of them that need to be having these kind of mentoring conversations, and so we tried a lot of different things. We tried a lot of different things to try to make that happen, to spread it until, well, it's kind of a long story behind this, so I won't go. To make a long story short, we began to utilize the technology of and texting. YouTube and texting. Thankfully, those technologies got developed to the point where we can use them to spread our mentoring conversation material. And so we started doing this probably right after COVID, right as we were coming out of COVID, probably 2021. And um, so we put a lot of our material on our videos. We actually have some music videos that my son created for us. That's what was the first material that we put on YouTube, was the music video. We got 20 of them on different topics. He created his original music, created just for us on these topics we requested. So we put those on YouTube, and we like, oh man, we got links now. We got YouTube links. All we have to do is send it out by text, the link, or by email, the link, and other people can get it and use it. So it sort of just started evolving as we were going there. And so then we realized, wow, we got all these coaches working with these urban student athletes all over the country. And by the way, we do mentor a couple of football teams in Compton, Compton High's football team and Dominguez High's football team. And so anyway, we'd
Isn't
already
that
been doing this.
isn't that show All American kind of based around Compton High School, or at least you're not familiar with it?
No, I'm not familiar with that one.
Tay Diggs
No.
has a show that he stars in called All American, and I think
Oh yeah, yeah. I think
Compton High
it's
School.
They say it's Compton High School in the show.
I believe so. I forget. I haven't watched it in years at this point. But yeah,
Uh,
I think Spencer, who's like a key star player. Anyway, that's neither here or there.
okay. Well, anyway, so we decided to target coaches. I mean, we started with other people, and other people do get our material, but we decided we have a that's a big pool. That's a big pool we can tap into. So we got connected to this organization called the National Coalition of Minority Football Coaches. 1,000 coaches are on this in this net, over 1,000 in the network. And I just started sending out messages to them through their website communication system. And I said, hey, we got this material. You want it? It's free. You just join our texting system. Here's send the code word mentor to this number, and you can be on our texting system. And many of them did. So we have about 150 football coaches and some basketball coaches who are on our texting system every week on Monday morning, depending on where they're at in the country. On the West Coast, they get it at 8 o'clock. On the East Coast, they get it at 11 o'clock. They receive one of the mentoring session for the week. The mentoring session for the week. What it contains is it contains a link. They just click on the link, and the link has a video, which is a sports related video, since they're dealing with athletes. But the videos, are on all kinds of different topics. You either have an athlete talking about consistency, by the way, or something like that, or you have a example of perseverance, um, example of finishing strong, and just all kinds of different examples. It's amazing what you can find in the actual games that are played that relates to real life. If you get knocked down, get back up. Those kinds of listen, pay attention to your coaches, pay attention. There's this on and on and on. So, I find these videos, I develop the conversation questions. The mentoring material consists of the video, which is no longer than 2 minutes. And right after the video, you have the conversation questions that you can use for having a mentoring conversation with the young people that you're working with. So we have coaches. We have a total of 221 people right now in our texting system. So that includes those coaches plus everybody else who works with these urban youth. And we love to have more join.
Yeah.
We love to have more join. So if you're interested, just contact us and we'll
How
get you
can
on.
people contact you? Is it through social media? Is it your website, or what's the best way to get in touch?
The best way would be through email to me. Go Mentors. No, not Go Mentors. That's our other website. Go Mentor, no S. Go Mentor 7 days, the number 7, DAYS days at gmail.com. Go Mentor 7 days at gmail.com. Now, if you forget that, go to our website, elevateyourgame.org, and just look for our contact information. And it'll probably give you another one, which is admin at elevateyourgame.org. Admin, ADMEN, I can spell ADMIN at elevateyourgame.org.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Hey, so Michael, we are at a point whereas it's time for us to land this plane. I will say it's always just good to get a vast array of experiences, perspective. I'm having all type of people come on this podcast from different places. I don't know if we've had anybody yet from particularly Compton, so it was refreshing for you to bring us to your city through some of the things that you shared. That was awesome. And by the way, I did a little research while we were talking, and that All American show, at least when they go to one particular high school, it's in South Crenshaw and not Compton.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah, my
Yeah.
apologies.
Crenshaw. Yeah, no problem. Crenshaw is well, the Crenshaw area is still pretty, for the most part, predominantly Black.
Okay.
Yeah, that area hasn't. It's going through gentrification now, but yeah, I know why they would pick Crenshaw.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, well, brother, right here at the end of this segment, I definitely want to give you opportunity that if there is any last bit of inspiration, any last bit of, hey, I wish I would have said this, but Damien didn't ask me the right question, anything that you just want to leave us with, you have the floor, and I want you to take this opportunity to do just that.
Well, I just want to emphasize the need for mentoring conversations with our urban youth. Really, that's my passion. Now, I want we our vision is to spark a movement of mentoring that spreads into every urban community in America. We've had that vision for some time. We're now just starting to see that vision come about, and I mean that's been in my heart for a long time, even before starting with Elevate Your Game, a long time. And so it's kind of like a dream come true now. But we're at 221. We want to get this up to 1,000, at least 1,000 people, coaches and a variety of other people who will be taking these sessions and using them to have these mentoring conversations. It is just transformative. I'm just telling you, it's just transformative. So I just want to encourage anybody who's listening to, if you're not involved in doing some mentoring with urban youth or any youth, consider doing it. It's not hard. It's not hard. And if you need some material, we'll send it to you. And literally, it's doesn't take a whole lot of preparation. It's already prepared for you. All you have to do is look it over for a little bit, get familiarized with it, and use it. That's really, I mean, I know I'm repeating, but that's it, man. That's what I like to emphasize right there.
Well, Michael, this has been such a pleasure. It was great meeting you. And again, through your shared narrative and stories, being able to take some things that has been inspirational and educational for us, even in us hearing the approach that you uniquely take to mentorship, that is so simple, that is so easy for folks to replicate, and for you to go further than that and say, hey, even if you need the roadmap, we can email it to you at least once a week to get you going. So it's a pleasure meeting you. Thank you for how you showed up today. And ladies and gentlemen, that is this episode of Village Talks. Go ahead and subscribe if you all aren't already, because just like this, at least once a week, we have guests who are coming on here dropping knowledge, helping us to be empowered, inspired, and educated when it comes to us as a village being the people we need to be for the young people who we care about the most. All right. So with that, peace out and see y'all next time.